Hello friend, hidden CNN cameras inside Florida's ethical crocodile tannery caught a $75,000 0-cents clutch being carved from a still-kicking beast, exposing luxury's priciest lie. How did it happen, what caused it, and who was the mastermind? Find out in the next part of this video. Dawn in the Everglades is a gamble. Egg collectors' shoes are soaked by 403 Ieming. A 900-pound mother alligator emerges with a clutch of 42 eggs. It seems she's been very productive this time. Crocodile eggs aren't always easy to come by. The mother crocodiles bury their eggs deep in the sand. Their maternal instincts will cause them to attack anyone who comes near their nest. You need to take a self-defense course to protect yourself. Just kidding, but you have to be very careful during this process. Under crimson bulbs, the shells glow. A single crack and $20 0-cents vanishes. When the incubator pings at 85 days and the first snout punches through the membrane, the room erupts in raw, exhausted whoops. As the shells crack open, the real challenge begins. Those tiny jaws may look harmless, but raising alligators is no hobby. It's precision, discipline, and risk. One mistake in heat or feeding, and months of effort vanish overnight. If you ever plan to raise them at home, be ready to treat it like a science, not a pet project. The baby alligators need 18 months of careful nurturing. Veterinarians give them 3 doses of antibiotics to ensure the luxury skins are safe until harvest. To meet the standards of top brands, alligators need to go through many stages of care and a lot of work. I think you'll age a few years with each successful sale. Food, water, temperature, humidity, all of these must be monitored precisely to ensure the gators thrive. In Florida, many alligator farms have had to close due to lack of funding. What does the government do then? When it detects signs of lack of funding through annual financial reports or complaints, the FWC conducts emergency inspections to assess the facilities, nutrition, and health of the alligators. From 2018 to 2022, FWC recorded more than 300 violations at farms if a farm fails to maintain standards. FWC requires a 30 to 60-day remediation plan. Failure to comply results in a temporary license suspension. What do you think of this relief? I want you to know this truth. Though tame, alligators are still very aggressive by nature, even in captivity. Even if you feed them every day or you have cared for them since they were babies, you will still be at risk of being attacked. Wear protective gear when you get close to them, you understand. Although there is still a need for optimal methods for harvesting adult crocodiles, usually, farms will use electric shock to ensure that the crocodile is paralyzed without affecting their quality. Look closely because you can feel the current running through you when the farmer wraps the crocodile in tape and loads it into the truck. There are many opinions on this use of electricity. What do you think? Leave a comment to let us know. Swish, swish. Inside the factory, the air is thick with humidity and tension. Workers in heavy gloves wrestle massive crocodiles. Their scales slick with water and power. Each cut must be perfect. One mistake can ruin a hide worth thousands. Suddenly, a blade slips. The conveyor jerks, a worker shouts as a crocodile's tail thrashes wildly. Sending tools clattering across the floor. For a heartbeat, chaos reigns. Danger, damage, and fear collide. Then, the supervisor hits the emergency stop. The machines fall silent, breaths steady. The team regroups, eyes sharp, movements precise. The rhythm returns, the danger tamed. The flawless skin slides free, a hard-won triumph born from discipline and control. Keep watching to see how they turn it into luxury. Under the warm light of the atelier, a single crocodile hide is laid on the table, worth more than $15,000. Every movement slows. The craftsman's hands hover, knowing that one imperfect cut could turn treasure into waste. In this room, silence is respect. He begins shaping the hide. The blade glides until it doesn't. A sudden snag, a harsh rip splits the air. For a heartbeat, everything hangs in the balance. The hide, the client, the reputation, all teetering on that single flaw. The craftsman stares at the damage. Years of mastery, tested in a single brutal moment. Then, calm. His breath evens. With surgeon-like precision, he trims, reshapes, realigns the seam. Inch by inch, the wound disappears beneath his skill. The rhythm returns, steady, certain, beautiful. Hours later, the bag stands complete, smooth, flawless, radiant beneath the lamp. What was almost ruined is now rebirth. The workshop exhales, perfection carved from chaos. From the factory, the so-called ethical crocodile handbags are shipped to the glitzy auction floors. Paris, Hong Kong, New York. Applause, champagne and flashing cameras, the illusion of perfection. But behind those shiny walls, something rotten lurks. 23. In front of you may be shiny bags, but behind you are crocodiles locked in cramped, dirty tanks. Try to remember, to get the bag you are bidding on, how did they anesthetize the crocodiles? Try to remember, to get the bag in front of you, thousands of workers had to work at great frequency for dozens of hours.
50 kilos of meat for a week.
The air was thick with the smell of blood and chemicals. No lights, no mercy. Just machines and silence. But in return, thanks to these auctions, thousands of people have jobs and income. So is the construction of crocodile leather processing and manufacturing factories really as bad as many people say? Tell me, when you see that perfect shine, do you still call it beauty or cruelty disguised as art?
Hey there, folks. Did you know that China breeds over 2 million crocodiles yearly, raking in billions for meat and leather? Ever wondered how a processing factory turns these prehistoric beasts into profit, or if it's even sustainable? Stick with me as we dive into China's crocodile farming revolution. Could this be the future of farming? Let's find out. Crocodile farming isn't new. Think back to the 1960s when Louisiana kicked off alligator ranches to curb poaching. China took it up a notch, integrating it into a slick system. Scientific research from the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences shows their farms cut waste by 30% compared to traditional livestock, thanks to biogas from croc dung powering nearby villages. Sustainable? Maybe. What do you think? Could your local farm pull this off? China's crocodile industry is an economic powerhouse, generating $2 billion yearly, with $100 million in exports landing in the U.S. according to 2023 trade data. Each crocodile hide commands $300, think luxury handbags, while meat fetches $15 per pound in niche markets, dwarfing beef's $5 per pound price tag. This premium pricing drives the appeal for farmers and investors alike. Financial reports from Guangdong highlight 20% profit margins, fueled by efficient processing factories and global demand for exotic goods. It's a lucrative model with low input, high return. Could a processing factory in your backyard tap into this swamp gold rush? What's your take? Meet Li Wei, a farmer in Guangxi. "We feed 'em fish scraps and use their waste for energy," he says, grinning. "It's less messy than pigs." Over at a processing factory in Anhui, worker Zhang Mei adds, "I skin 50 crocs a day. Tough work, but it pays $800 a month." Experts like Dr. Susan Chen from Beijing University argue integrated systems reduce environmental strain. What's your take? Would you work in a crock plant? According to China's Ministry of Agriculture, crocodile farming supports 50,000 jobs, injecting vitality into rural economies, especially in provinces like Guangdong. Unlike U.S. factory farms, which the USDA says consume 70% of available fresh water, China's integrated systems recycle water, cutting usage by 50%, a game changer for sustainability. Li Ming, an environmental economist, notes, "This boosts village incomes while easing resource strain." Socially, it's a lifeline. Rural communities flourish with steady work. But is it genuinely eco-friendly or slick propaganda? Picture a processing factory in Texas adopting this. Could it balance profit and planet, or would water wars sink it? What do you think? Let's break it down and compare the global crocodile farming scene. Thailand turns out 1.5 million crocodiles annually, focusing on meat and leather production, but it misses China's innovative edge converting waste into biogas for energy. Australia, with a modest 100,000 crocs, prioritizes conservation over profit, releasing young crocodiles into the wild to bolster ecosystems rather than filling processing factories. China's unique hybrid approach blends sustainability and waste-powered villages with serious cash flow, setting it apart. Meanwhile, U.S. alligator farms, mostly in Florida, generate $70 million yearly. But but their success hinges on tourism, like swamp tours, not integrated systems. Which model resonates with you? Could a U.S. processing factory borrow China's waste-to-energy playbook and thrive? It's not all smooth sailing. Floods in 2021 freed 10,000 crocs from farms, spooking locals. Disease risks linger. West Nile virus hit U.S. farms hard in the early 2000s, costing millions. Can China keep it tight? And would you eat croc meat from a processing factory knowing this? Sustainability's great, but safety's key. So, can crocodile farming be sustainable? China's integrated system blending profit jobs and eco-smart says yes, with caveats. It's a $2 billion lesson in rethinking farming. Picture this, and the U.S. swamps turn to gold. What do you say, folks? Hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you're hooked on this wild ride. Hey beef lovers, Queensland, Australia boasts 10.7 million cows, outnumbering New Yorkers and Angelenos combined, fueling a $10 billion industry that stocks your grills. How do they thrive in such a wild place? Tell us your guess about life before the processing factory kicks in. Drop it below. And let's dive into this epic cattle tale. Cattle farming in Queensland didn't spring up overnight. It kicked off in the 1000s, 860s, when pioneers drove herds into the outback, battling harsh terrain and indigenous resistance to establish stations, some spanning over 1 million acres. By 1900, Queensland was Australia's beef capital, a title it's held ever since. Historical records from the Queensland State Archives show that early stockmen relied on sheer willpower, horses, and basic fencing to manage herds. Today that legacy lives on, but with a modern twist. Drones, GPS, and solar-powered water pumps have replaced lassos and lanterns. How do you think those old-timers would react to seeing a farmer herd cows with a joystick? Caring for 10.7 million cows across 670,000 square miles, 2.5 times the size of Texas, takes more than grit. It takes science. Research from the University of Queensland highlights how farmers combat heat stress. A processor in summers that hit 110 DHF cows get shade structures and misting systems, while selective breeding has produced tougher breeds like the Brahman, which thrives in the tropics. At the processing factory, science steps up again. Veterinarians use vaccines to keep herds disease-free. A must for exporting to picky markets like the U.S. Ever wonder how much hotter it'll get with climate change? And what that means for these cows? Picture this. Dawn breaks over a dusty plain, and a farmer named Jacko saddles up. You're out there by 5 a.m. checking water, moving cattle. Nature doesn't wait, he told me in an interview last month. His station, a 500,000-acre beast, is one of thousands dotting Queensland. Cows graze on native grasses, supplemented by hay and dry spells, and drink from massive tanks, some holding 50,000 gallons trucked in when creeks dry up. Mustering or rounding up cattle is a daily dance, often aided by helicopters or dogs. At the processing factory, workers like Sarah, a 10-year veteran, say, "We see the end of their journey. Healthy cows mean quality beef." What's your morning routine like compared to Jacko's? Queensland's cattle aren't just local heroes, they're global players. The beef industry pumps $10 billion into Australia's economy annually. With 2024 financial reports from Meat and Livestock Australia showing exports to the U.S. alone worth $1,200 million. That's enough beef to make 2 billion quarter pounders. At the processing factory, efficiency is king. Plants like JBS Australia's in Rockhampton churn out 3,000 heads a day, meeting American demand for lean, grass-fed cuts. Compare that to the U.S., where 32 million cows support a $67 billion industry. Queensland's smaller herd punches above its weight. How often do you think about where your burger comes from? sure doesn't play nice in Queensland. In 2019, floods drowned over 500,000 cattle, a $400 million gut punch documented by the Queensland government. Droughts, meanwhile, shrink pastures and spike feed costs. Some farmers spend $1 million a year keeping herbs alive. Yet resilience shines through. After the floods, we rebuilt fences, replanted grass. Quitting isn't an option, says Mary, a station owner near Longreap. At the processing factory, managers adapt too, adjusting processing schedules when supply dips. Ever faced a setback that big and bounced back? How do you care for millions of cows across a state bigger than Alaska? You get creative. Solar-powered pumps deliver water to remote paddocks, while GPS collars track herds across vast ranges. It's like playing a video game sometimes, laughs Tom, a young stockman using drones to muster cattle. At the processing factory, automation speeds up packing, but old-school skills like hand-cutting prime rib still matter. Experts like Dr. Lisa Carter, a livestock researcher, note Queensland's blend of tech and tradition keeps it competitive. What tech do you think could revolutionize farming next? The journey ends at the processing factory, where cows become the beef Americans grill every summer. Queensland's 10.7 million strong herd fuels a system that's both brutal and beautiful. Floods and heat test their limits, but farmers and workers push back with ingenuity and heart. Official stats from the Australian Bureau of Statistics show 40% of Queensland's beef lands overseas, with the U.S. as a top buyer. Next time you fire up the BBQ, think about Jacko, Mary, and Sarah, and the cows that made it happen. What's your favorite way to cook beef? So, what do you think? Could you handle a day in Jacko's boots? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep this conversation moving.